You guys voted, so today I'm reacting to what paratroopers go through at Airborne School. Hi, I'm Kylie, just another Army vet. Let's get started.
When this Airborne student collided with a Humvee parked in the drop zone, our camera crew feared she was seriously injured, if not worse.
Yeah.
Filming?
You can't.
An instructor ordered us to stop recording while the medics tended to her. A few minutes later, she was back on her feet and walking without assistance. When we caught up to her, she was all smiles, getting ready for her next jump.
The medic checked me out. I didn't pull anything, I didn't tear anything, I didn't break anything.
That may be due to the fact that Davis listened to this instructor's advice right before she crashed.
Keep your feet together.
Keeping the feet and knees together is an essential component of executing a safe landing after a jump.
Feet knees together.
Feet knees together.
It's a phrase heard ad nauseum at Airborne School, a 3-week course where the Army trains students to become paratroopers. Insider spent 5 days at Airborne School, where we observed different classes in the 3 phases of training.
So Airborne School is the one school I never really got a chance to go to that I really wanted to. If you have been to Airborne School, whether you passed or failed, then drop that in the comments and let me know how your experience was.
Ground week is pretty much an introduction. When they land on the ground, what procedures they need to take, and it's just building that confidence and their equipment. Tower week is the second week, overcoming your fears of jumping. Jump week is the culminating event, you jumping out of aircraft. You successfully make 5 jumps and you graduate Airborne School.
On day 1, students have to pass 2 physical assessments. First, the flex arm hang, where students must perform a pull-up and remain in place for 10 seconds. This exercise requires the same technique and amount of upper body strength to perform what's known as a slip.
That does take a fair amount of strength to be able to pull your body weight up and to hold it like that. Yeah, some people are just not going to be able to.
Paratrooper grabs handles on the harness called risers and pulls down to adjust the parachute's direction.
To really pull good slip, you're pulling, I think, 60% of your body weight.
If you cannot hook up to the incline cable, you are a reach assessment failure. Do you understand?
The second physical test assesses a student's ability to reach the cable they must connect to before jumping.
Extend your arms straight up. Straighten your fingers.
Being a smaller human, I was definitely nervous about that. But when I got there, I stretched my arm out as high as I could and realized, all right, I qualified.
While most pass with ease, for some students, a failed reach assessment brings an end to their training before it officially begins.
Well, that just sucks. Yeah, if you're 4'11", 5 foot, I'm not sure if you'll be able to reach that. Even 5'3", I'm not sure. I guess it depends on how far you can actually reach without going on your tippy toes. Or are you allowed to go on your tippy toes while doing that? If you know, drop that in the comments.
About 15,000 students enroll in Airborne School each year, and roughly 13,000 graduate. About 10% of students are female. Since 1940, paratroopers have been trained at the Fort Benning Army installation, which straddles the Alabama-Georgia border about 100 miles southwest of Atlanta.
So Fort Benning is where the school is, but I know that Toccoa, that's where the Band of Brothers trained. I'm not sure why there's that discrepancy, or maybe I'm just remembering something wrong. If you know, then drop that in the comments.
When the fledgling paratrooper gets his wings, his pay will be $50 a month more than regular soldiers of his rank.
Today, paratroopers still get extra pay.
Even if you are airborne qualified, you're not going to get that extra pay unless you're in an airborne unit on jump status. In order to maintain jump status, I believe you have to do a jump every 3 months. And just because you are airborne qualified, it does not mean that you will be put into an airborne unit.
Students who graduate from Airborne School get $150 per month added to their paycheck, classified as hazardous duty incentive pay. Students use mock parachutes to learn how to safely don and rig them before a jump, marking the beginning of Ground Week.
Slap, step, kick, count. On the left door, your static line is in the left hand.
If you can remember to do very specific things at very specific times, you'll be fine.
We teach them how to properly put on what's called a harness. Teach them how to rig it, the different components of the harness.
After donning and rigging the harness, An instructor inspects the student's work.
Hold, squat, turn, bend, recover, recover, recover.
Sergeant, what's up with the little glove tap?
So that's basically called the seal of approval. Cover. Basically, they have what's called 5 points of contact: the balls of the feet, the calf, the thigh, the buttocks, and the pull-up muscle. Recover. The 4th point of contact is the easier accessible part of the body that doesn't have anything to interfere as far as the harness itself. Recover. That 4th point of contact is a seal of approval that your equipment is good, I've checked it, and you're good to go. Green light. Oh, step, kick, count. Then they'll move to what's called the mock doors. So the mock doors is where they'll learn how to properly do individual exits from the aircraft. Kick, count, which is basically keeping those elbows tight, feet and knees together, knees slightly bent, and so on and so forth.
The mock door prepares students for what it's like to jump, but not to land. Paratroopers land at speeds of about 13 miles per hour with a force comparable to jumping from a 9 to 12-foot wall, which is why they practice the parachute landing fall, or PLF, from a height of roughly 3 feet to develop a safe technique for landing.
Essentially, it is a choreographed movement of them creating a banana shape or a rocking chair shape. They do a small bunny hop off the wall. They hit the ground. They tuck their chin down in their chest, put their elbows high in front of their face. I like to concentrate on keeping their feet together so that there's more surface area for the impact of jumping out of the aircraft to absorb into, so that they can roll, getting them to bleed off the momentum so that they do not get injured.
After PLFs, they move to the lateral drift apparatus, a zip line they slide across until they're ordered to let go and land.
It simulates the lateral drift that will happen in the air due to wind. So then they'll have more momentum to actually complete the parachute landing fall and kick it up and over.
Students use the suspended harness to practice pulling a slip.
So you would pull a slip in the direction that you want to go.
The T-11 parachute is not technically steerable, but executing a slip is the only option for avoiding a collision.
Whether it's avoiding trees, other jumpers, they do work, and that's why we teach them here.
Everything taught during Ground Week is taken to a new height the following week.
Tower week, you're 34 feet off the ground. What are you going to do? You know, nobody knows how they're going to react when they're staring that door in the face. And I think everyone had that gut check. But once you send it, once you're jumping off, you're good.
Go. The height of the tower is typically where a lot of people are going to show the panic and the fear of heights. And the tower is used to help them control that fear.
When you
See, this just looks fun to me. I mean, this is like going on a giant zip line or something. I would love to do this.
up in that tower, everybody's excited. You walking up the stairs just like anybody else, but then now reality sets in when I'm standing up here 34 foot in the air, and now you asking me to jump out.
As soon as their foot leaves the platform, they begin to count to 6,000. At the end of your 6,000 count, your main canopy will have fully deployed and has begun its inflation process and begun its descent to the ground.
Students are observed and evaluated by instructors who critique them until they have developed an exit worthy of a live jump.
I actually jumped the mock tower 22 times just because I just had to perfect it and get it right. You got to kick out a certain amount to get far enough away, and that was probably the thing I struggled with the most.
The final exercise during Tower Week is the improved swing landing trainer, an opportunity to practice a parachute landing fall in a more realistic way.
It simulates the oscillation and downward movement that you would experience on a normal parachute jump. They will swing until they get into a good parachute landing fall position. In a true parachute landing fall, you are not looking at the ground, so you don't know when you're gonna hit. We don't tell them, I'm dropping you now. We just say, hold what you got, prepare to land. That way they know the ground will be coming soon, they just won't know when.
The instructor pulls a cable that causes the student to fall.
This is also the most dangerous course when it comes to the actual training. We've seen broken bones, we've seen concussions result from this training, more so than any other training.
Training culminates with Jump Week, where students apply everything they've learned in 5 different jumps from a live aircraft flying 1,250 feet off the ground. Jump week begins with a jog to the airfield.
Running down here from the barracks, it's a very slow pace. I found out the purpose of that was to check to see if anyone had any injuries. And then it's a waiting game until you finally get to jump.
Students pick up their main and reserve parachutes, which have been meticulously packed and inspected by riggers. The team uses a 13-step process to pack about 75,000 parachutes a year for airborne students.
So rigger is a separate MOS or separate job, and yes, they do have to maintain jump status and be airborne qualified.
If the riggers discover any deficiencies in a parachute, it is removed from circulation. Students head to the harness shed, where instructors inspect their parachutes.
So they go through five rounds of inspections by the time they exit the aircraft. Just to verify, re-verify, triple verify, make sure that everything is in order.
Everything from checking the helmet and the actual T11 harness and the parachute for any deficiencies, any cuts, frays, any twists, anything that could injure the jumper or cause malfunction.
After the inspections, students wait and wait and wait. Their jumps often delayed for hours by weather and air traffic control.
You just have to sit there in our nice comfy harnesses until you get to jump.
Finally,
Hurry up
the
and
students
wait.
get the signal that it's time to board the C-130 Hercules that will fly them to the drop zone.
When you're sitting there waiting, it's like it's not real yet. When they open the doors, it's like, oh, you know. If your heart's not already beating, that's when it starts, because you're just about to go.
Before the students jump, 2 instructors go to assess wind conditions.
So they'll jump out, not pull a slip, see where the wind's taking them, and then we'll send that wind data up to the aircraft.
On the ground, a smoke bomb ignited in a barrel provides an additional sense of wind direction and speed. The students hook their static lines to the anchor line cable. This connection will open the chute upon jumping.
We all have fears. A lot of folks are scared of heights. You know, you hear the stories, possible fatalities, and you allow that to get in your head. But once you get here to the school, you'll see that it's nothing like you ever thought it would be. That 18 to 20-something seconds you have falling out of the sky, you're in your happy place.
It's like slipping into the void, and there's absolute silence. And it's such a cool feeling.
Keep your feet together.
But accidents can occur.
I knew I was coming for the Humvee. I tried to calm down as much as I could, keep my slip, cover my face, and just wait for what happened next.
Had First Lieutenant Davis landed just a few inches to the left, her face and head could have collided with a metal handle on the side of the Humvee.
I've done medical coverage in jump zones before. Typically, they have a large perimeter where people and vehicles are not allowed to be to give the troopers room to land, essentially. But things do not go as planned, and there are crashes. People get stuck in trees. One time I was doing med coverage on a jump, and we had about 4 or 5 people stuck in trees, and we had 49 real-life casualties, and we had 9 medevacs being sent out on helicopters because they were that badly hurt.
When you jump, you can't have a clear drop zone. We have to have vehicles out there for emergency purposes, and the best you can do is pull a one-riser slip opposite the direction of the hazard, feet knees together, prepare to land.
Our next jump was the night jump, so you can imagine a somewhat traumatizing experience occurring, and then I was really trying to just remind myself that I'm good at this.
How did that one go?
It went flawlessly.
Flawless landings are rare during the final jump, when students jump with about 35 pounds of combat gear added to their load. Friends and family gather to see the newest class of airborne qualified soldiers graduate after 3 weeks of training.
That was a fun video, so now maybe check out this one right here. Thanks for watching.